Hello, Cousin Johnny here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Thank you, that garlic stuff. If you like garlic, you're going to love it. Put it on just about anything. That garlic stuff. Tuesday, Alvarado Farmers Market, or go to thatgarlicstuff.com. Thank you. Thank you, I Heart You Candles and Gifts. 222 17th Street, Pacific Grove. Beautiful hand poured candles made with love. Go see Sherry at 222 17th Street in Pacific Grove. I Heart You Candles and Gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Max Fit Meals, 520 Fremont Street. Grab and go healthy meals. They're delish. On your way from home from work, go grab some, heat them up, and fantastic. Thank you, Suds Cyber Laundry, 709 Lighthouse, Pacific Grove. Great modern machines, big screen TV, coffee, and a great friendly staff. Thank you, Suds. Thank you, the Whiskey Club, 425 Alvarado Street. Over 600 whiskeys to choose from. Go on in, relax, enjoy a nice whiskey. They also have a bottle shop. It's great. Great place to relax and enjoy. Tell them cousin sent you. Thank you. Bye. Hello, how's everybody doing out there? It's a great day in Monterey, and we got a great show here, and I'm so excited about this guest that I have on. And before further ado, let me introduce him. He plays in locally here in a band. You probably heard him around town. It's a really great party band called the Red Roosters. He's written a book. He's written songs. He's a musician. For 33 years, he was a professor at UC Stanislaus, and he has a doctorate, and he has the distinction of being a professor emeritus for distinguished service. So I'm so excited to have him on, and please welcome Sam Regalado, aka Bosco's Brew. Sam, how you doing?
Good, cuz. I'm doing very good. Happy to be on the show.
Great to have you on. And a lot of people, they see you around town and they thinking, who's this guy Bosco's Brood? Who's Sam? In fact, I was one of them until I met you, and the more I talk to you, the more stuff that you've done or whatever. It's like, this guy's an interesting character. I want to have him on my show. So, Sam, where are you from, and what's your ties to Monterey?
Well, I'm originally from the Los Angeles area. That's where I was born and raised. And I got my undergraduate education in the San Fernando Valley at Cal State University, Northridge. And after I finished there, then I moved on to graduate school up at Washington State, where I attended Washington State University and earned my master's degree and my PhD in history. And following that, then I landed a job at California State University, Stanislaus, and that's out in Turlock, which is in Central California, about 2 hours away from the Monterey area. And as time went on and I became more familiar with the region, then I was able to come over to Monterey and visit it quite often. And eventually I included it in my my music schedule tours that I used to have when I was just playing solo guitar. So I became more and more familiar with the music scene during that time. I was still living in Turlock entirely. But then as I got to know the people in the Monterey area, then I decided that it might be in my best interest to actually purchase a place in Monterey so I can spend even more time here and get to be part of the community. And so that's what I did. In 2012, I ended up purchasing a condominium And so now I have skin in the game, if you will, in
Oh
Monterey.
yeah, you're in, yeah,
And of course, as time went on, I got to know a lot of people, not only uh, in the music environment here, but in the arts environment.
yeah,
A lot of the people that are here and people who go to a lot of these functions, I got to know and have become really good friends with all of them. So so here I am now, after a decade later of owning a place here, and I feel really feel very welcomed in the area, and have really come to enjoy knowing all and developing good, strong friendships out here.
yeah. Now, Sam, you were saying about the arts. I'm biased. I grew up here and all that, but I just feel like we got. I mean, I know there's other areas that they're great, but we've got some of the best chefs, the best musicians, the best restaurants. I mean, it's just the best people, the best artists. I mean, that's just my opinion. So you fit right in, my friend.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered to hear that. But there's nothing biased when it's factual.
Yes, factual. Yeah. So when did you start playing uh, your instrument and start playing music and writing songs and
Well, I started doing that during my the latter portion of my high school years. I was like many people of my baby boomer generation,
yeah,
caught up with the Beatles and all of the bands that came out in the 1960s and early 70s. And My sister was playing guitar before I started playing an instrument, and she showed me a lot of things about how to play guitar and also piano. I actually started off more as a keyboard player, and that's
okay,
when I first got into bands. I started off as a keyboard player, but eventually, in order to attain more work, get more opportunities, I started to learn guitar and the bass guitar as well. And through the years, I just kept at it. It becomes a labor of love after a while, and
it's
so
labor of love. Yeah.
it's.
You play in the band, the Road Roosters.
Mhm.
It's a great dance party type band. So that's and now are the Road Roosters? Are they from Turlock or I mean, where are they from? Who
No,
are they?
they are actually local guys. Um,
Okay,
the current Rogue Roosters consist of Bill Smith on guitar, lead guitar. We're only a three-piece band: guitar, bass, and
yeah,
drums. So he's our guitar player, and Jim Dalton. And Bill, by the way, lives in Delray Oaks, so I consider that to be pretty local. Uh,
yeah,
and then there's Jim Dalton. Jim Dalton, our drummer, he lives in Aptos, and that makes up Rogue Roosters. Brad Wright was our original guitar player. He lasted with us for about a year or so,
yeah.
a couple of
Okay, yeah,
years, and so so pretty much all the guys were local. I'm the only one that kind of goes back and forth from Turlock to Monterey, and now that I've owned a place, it makes it a little less trying for me to go back and forth. I can spend a lot more time here.
yeah. Now you go by the name Bosco's Brood. How did that happen?
Yeah, Bosco's Brew. That's the Rogue Roosters is the rock band component of me.
Okay,
Bosco's Brood is an acoustic duo actually that I work with a guy named Craig Jardstrom, who's kind of a local. He's also a local guy, and he plays with a lot of folks. And I'm lucky enough where he plays percussion, he plays lap steel, and does a mean harp also. And we played a lot of the smaller clubs, cafes, and things like that that are more inclined to hire acoustic
yeah,
music. So for me, that's great because it helps to expand my horizons, and it's a little sometimes a little more artsy than rock is. With the rock band, we're playing, Bad Company and a lot of the rock songs kind of stuff. That's often loud, but of course, in an acoustic setting, that's much different. So I have to be a little bit a little more gentle in my approach, and it seems to work. I mean, I've been working with Craig now for over 10 years, so we have our act down, and it's a nice change.
Grant. That's really great. Yeah. So you were the professor for 33 years. Congratulations on that. And you've
Thank
got
you very much.
prestigious designation of Professor Emeritus, which is for distinguished service. So we'd like to congratulate you on that. And And
Yeah.
you're a history professor,
Yes, I'm a history professor, or I was a history professor.
and that's world and everything, or is it American?
Uh,
Or,
my primary areas of specialization as a historian, as a
oh,
professional historian, was U.S. history, U.S. social and cultural history. I also taught classes in U.S. immigration and ethnicity, sports in the U.S. I taught a course in U.S. sports history, also U.S. legal history and constitutional history. I did a lot of that with graduate students. So we have different kind of areas of history that we
yeah,
focus on.
that kind of in a way reminds me of the history that we have here in Monterey with the fishing industry. Then we had the Japanese influence in Monterey, the internment camps, and during the war. So that kind of similar to what you taught. Yeah. So what I was looking at is you wrote a book, and you're a baseball fan, and
Hmm.
that's I think when you and I first met, I think that was a bonding thing because I'm a baseball fan, and I don't know. I think I ran into you or said something else. So how the Giants do tonight or something, and you knew the score and you knew the box score. So we talked, and so you wrote a book, and it's called Viva Baseball. Can you tell us about it? Oh, there it is. Beautiful.
Yeah, Viva Baseball is a book about the Latin American baseball players who had come to the United States to play in American professional baseball, the major leagues, of course. And it really was a book a lot more about their trials and tribulations. To go to a different country and to try to be successful in a sport that is really at the very top of the heap of U.S. social culture. I mean, baseball is the American pastime and all of that. And these guys were coming up to, they left their regions and their countries to come and succeed in the U.S. Most of them didn't know how to speak any English. They were not familiar with foods and things in the U.S. And it was more than just playing baseball. I mean, they
Yeah.
had to succeed in many ways. Often they didn't get the kind of attention that they deserved because reporters, most of them being English-speaking reporters, would never interview them. So there was a lot of they had to go through a lot in order to succeed in the U.S. And so that my book is about their trials and tribulations and how that paralleled with the growing presence of Latin people in the United States.
Yes. Yes.
And so consequently, it's a history of both the baseball players in the major leagues as well as the Latin people and their growing identity and visibility as in the passing years, and how the ball players were kind of a microcosm of that. It was it was a great experience to do that. I was able to utilize my passion for baseball and to utilize it as a professional historian. Uh,
Yeah.
and also to try to get people to understand what people go through that we shouldn't be taken for granted about what people themselves go through. And a lot of the ball players, especially the black ball players who came up in the 1950s and 60s, for them, they never experienced anything like racial discrimination as we saw in the Deep South, for instance.
Yes. Yes.
So, imagine yourself being 18 or 19 years old. You're away from your country for the first time in your life, no family, and you're stuck in the Deep South for your first minor league experience. And
Yeah. Yeah.
not an easy thing to do to go through because you weren't allowed to go to restaurants and these kinds of things, and that could do something to your head after a while.
Yeah. Really could. Yeah. And is your book still in circulation?
I think that it is. There were 3 editions to the book. The one I'm holding that you have right in front that was the very first edition that came out in 1998,
Okay.
and just by sheer coincidence, you would know this, Johnny, is that was the same year as the Sosa McGuire home run race.
Oh yeah. I was I was looking at that the other day on YouTube. I think last night
Mhm.
about that. McGuire was talking, and he said Sosa hit 2 home runs to go ahead, and he
Mhm.
hit three that same night to go
It's so
back up. I mean, that was I think one of the greatest eras. I mean, just that whole thing that happened because, because baseball, I guess, was kind of down at that time.
That's
The
right.
attendance or something, and
Yeah,
it needed a shot in the arm, and
it did.
that gave it a shot in the arm. They'd be going one game and then clicking on to another game, and that was a fun time. Yeah,
Yeah, it really was. And Sosa was able to, he was obviously high profile at that point, and every time he interviewed, he would talk about things that he went through and talk about his homeland. And there was a huge, huge hurricane that went through the Dominican Republic in
yeah,
August of that year. And in the middle of the home run race, he broke away from that and went down to help his countrymen deal with the hurricane. And that was kind of remarkable because I mean he was in the middle of a race that would, breaking the all-time record. And but to him it was more important to be with his family at
he with
that.
his family. Yeah, what did he end up with? 68 or home run?
Mhm. Yeah,
From
McGuire beat him by one or two. It was
I
pretty,
think
yeah.
70 or something. I think he had 70.
And just by sheer coincidence, my book came out. My first edition, the one that you have you're posting right now, came out in 1998. So book sales were very,
Oh
very.
man, that must have been great. Yeah.
It
So
was
what
so the book sales were so good that the publisher asked me to write a second edition.
man, that's great. Yeah. And what'd you do with the second edition? You tweak it a little bit, or how does that?
Well, well, what I did was I added more material that I thought was important that I didn't do in the first edition, and also what they wanted me to do, being that they were publishers, they wanted me to add a section just on the home run race and its impact on the on Latin American people, and to try to incorporate all that because that was still such a hot topic then. So I was able to throw a second chapter again, another chapter in that focusing in on the home run race, and that led to a third edition.
Oh, perfect.
so so I ended up getting three editions out of Viva Baseball, and I mean, with publishers, they're business people there, and so they wanted to make the most out of a hot topic at that time.
And now baseball has a lot of Japanese coming over now, more than before.
Right.
And
Yeah. Well, most of the people that are coming, the players are coming over, they're Japanese nationals.
yeah,
What I did was I focused a lot on my second book on the Japanese Americans and
okay.
their experiences. They're the ones that actually were sent to the concentration camps.
Yeah.
The,
Now, speaking of that, Sam, is we had a big contingent of Japanese, fishermen and worked here in our community, and a lot of them played baseball. So they had a big league here. As you know, they played at Jack's Park downtown Monterey,
Mhm.
and we spoke about this the other day. There's a museum on Adams Street, a Japanese museum behind the Japanese club there, right in the front at Adams Street. There's the coffee house right there at the corner, and then the next place is a museum or the hall, and then behind the hall, usually it's open on the weekend. There's a museum, and it has all kinds of. It has the old Japanese jerseys, and it has also a lot of other things like of the abalone fishing when the hard hat divers
Oh
that
yeah, right.
fish. Yeah, so that's great too. So we've got that here in Monterey. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
Japanese Americans have a very distinguished history in this region.
yeah, and then
Monterey.
they went to the internment camps too. The Japanese out here in Monterey. Yeah. So there's going to be Tim Thomas, the historian, is putting together an abalone festival coming up in July, and it's going to have different, yeah. I mean, not food or anything, but just different stuff about the Japanese or the abalone.
And by the way, it's interesting that they were sent to the camps in 1942, in the spring of 1942. And this was as a result of Franklin D. Roosevelt signing Executive Order 9066. Yeah. While a lot of people thought that that was the right thing to do and all of that, they were for that. There was also some pushback, even by some of the writers of newspapers in the Salinas area, that said that this was unconstitutional and argued that this shouldn't be taking place. And the reason I even brought that up was because in our current world, where we're experiencing what immigrants are going through in this country, that there are a lot of people that are pushing back against how they're being treated. And so the same thing happened in 1942. And eventually they were sent to the camps, but there was resistance to that.
Yeah.
This is how a historian's mind works, Johnny.
Yeah, it's great. I could talk to you for 4, 5, 6 hours. So what's in the future for Sam? Are you going to write another book? What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I still have I've kept in touch with my profession. I mean, I'm not an instructor anymore. I'm not a professor in the classroom, but I'm still a historian. And so I try to keep up with the profession. I go to conferences periodically to see what the new techniques are in research, and to see if I can still, make any contributions. But it's such a new game there, because they're younger scholars who they were as ambitious as I was when I was coming up, and they have new techniques, some of which I don't understand, and I have to kind of learn a lot of things. I'd like to stay in touch by writing. In terms of this area, I think what I'd like to see personally is I'd like to see more forums, like historical forums taking place, talking about the historical significance of the Monterey area. And so that maybe that's where I could make my contribution by helping to organize something like a small conference, for instance, and get local people to make presentations about their experiences or what they think is important, especially in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, we've got people just hungry for history, and yeah, I remember when I was growing up, it was like you didn't care, you drive whatever, whatever it is. And now that I'm older, it's like I stop at every adobe and I read the graphics and I peek through the window, and a lot of them, they have the recording where you call up, you put the stock number in, and it gives you the history of the adobe. So I mean, it's just like I'm just so into the history of Monterey and history in general. So we need people like you. So
you have good people here already. Tim Thomas, we talked about him.
Very good.
He's a very, very good local historian. He's done some really good work, makes great presentations. My friend Jeff Rothel has written about a guy named Harry Green, who was also an instrumental figure in the late 19th century. So Jeff's done some really, really good work in that area that he's even published. So I mean, people like that can really add to highlighting the significance of the area in a way that a lot of people probably don't even know about.
Yeah, it's great. So Sam, I really appreciate you coming on and buzzing with Cousin today, and looking forward to seeing you and the Red Roosters around town. And I'm going to close out with just a really short clip. So everybody just stay tuned. that was great. And so, like I said, Sam, thank you so much. So, all listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. And Cousin Johnny and Sam are out. Bye, everybody. Thank you.